microphone, please welcome my guest for this evening, Maru Nii.
Hello, how's it going?
Hello, hello.
Hello, hello.
There we go. So hopefully the audio levels are good. Got the BGM running. I know Maru's coming through. If anybody can't hear her, please let us know in the chat, because that's one thing that no matter how many shows you do, you always have to make sure those audio levels are good.
Yeah, for sure. It's something that I struggle with in my streams all the time.
All right, they say you are a bit quiet, so let me bump you up just a bit. Alrighty, hopefully that'll work. And I'll adjust things
Hello? Is this better for the volume?
Hopefully it is, and if it isn't, I'm sure they will yell at me in the chat. In the meantime, thank you Lord Vance and Augersley for the follows. So, Maru, obviously, I'm sure that a bunch of people who are in the chat tonight are already very familiar with you, but for those who aren't, if you could tell us a bit about yourself.
Yeah, for sure. I'm Maru. I'm a mouse. I'm a librarian. Well, a former librarian, I should say. No longer. I play retro games. I like books. I like JRPGs. And there we go. That's my introduction. I always shot my spaghetti when I have to introduce myself. I'm really bad at talking about myself.
Don't
I'm
worry.
40 feet tall as well. 40
feet tall. Can't forget that. World's largest mouse. Quite terrifying.
Yes is yes.
So you're also part of a group called Three Skies. If memory serves, you're actually their inaugural talent.
Yeah, I am. I was their first talent. I debuted back in January, and we just picked up 2 more talents, and one of which was in chat right now. Hello, Ria. How's it going? Welcome. But yeah, they just debuted last Saturday, and I'm very happy to have them on board. They're both very, very gorgeous individuals. I really appreciate them. They're very sweet.
That's fantastic, and I believe you all have a collab coming up tomorrow, I think.
No,
Whoops,
we
sorry.
actually had to move it back to next weekend, but it will be next weekend for sure.
Next weekend then, all right. So definitely one that people will want to check out. So as you mentioned, you are a ex-librarian, a retro gamer, among other things. I suppose librarian is probably one of the more unique things that you have as a VTuber that I don't think I know of any other VTuber librarians or ex-librarians for that matter. So, do you really, I suppose, have a starting point for your love of books?
Yeah, I've been reading since I was like 3 or 4 years old. I was taught very young by my mother mouse, and like ever since I've just always really loved books. I don't know if you humans do it, but we do. Back in elementary school, we used to have these like contests where if you read enough books, they would give you a free like mini personal pizza. I don't know if humans have that, but we mouse people definitely do.
I don't think that we had that at my school, but it sounds like the type of thing that I could easily see at other human schools.
Right. We did it quite often. I always won. I had many free pizzas.
Do you remember what the first book you ever read on your own was?
It had to be Dr. Seuss. I'm pretty sure. I don't know which one, but it had to be one of those.
I remember that the first...
I want to say it was Green... Oh, I'm so sorry. I want to say it was Green Eggs and Ham, but I can't tell you for sure.
It's funny that that's yours, because mine is also a Dr. Seuss book. The first book I remember reading on my own was Go Dog Go.
Oh my god, I love Go Dog Go. But yeah, Dr. Seuss is just... He wrote a lot of very good books. A lot of nuance in those books.
For sure, and honestly, Seuss books are ones that I look back on even now, and you pick up on things as an adult that you don't necessarily catch as a child. That there's a lot of, really mature and thoughtful themes in there amongst all of the made-up words and rhymes.
Yeah, for sure. Like, I feel like a lot of people simplify him, but he's definitely like a really good writer. Like, people are like, oh, he's just rhyming, but there's a lot of like genuine nuance, not just ironic nuance, but like real nuance in his works.
Yeah. Do you have a particular favorite Seuss book?
Red Fish, Blue Fish. I love that book so much.
Ooh, One Fish, Two Fish, Red Fish, Blue Fish. Yeah, I don't remember when I read that one, but I do recall that one fondly as well. I guess, what was the latest book that you've read? Or perhaps rather, what you're reading at this very moment, even?
The most recent book I've read was The Idiot by Dostoevsky. I've been really into Russian literature recently, and I'm really enjoying it so much so far because I love Dostoevsky, but I just never really got around to The Idiot by him.
I'll admit, I'm not actually familiar with that one. Are you able to give a short synopsis?
It's it's a bit difficult to put into words because it's a bit out there. But have you ever read Dream of a Ridiculous Man by Dostoevsky? Or
I have not, but now I'm going to look it up to try and figure out, all right, what am I missing out on?
Right, yeah. So they're pretty similar, the two of them. I feel like Dream of a Ridiculous Man is more a short story version of The Idiot, to be honest. And I think I feel like at the root of it, it's I'm so sorry. 1 second. I'm trying to put my thoughts together.
Oh, goodness. So, according to the Wikipedia page, it says it chronicles the experiences of a man who decides that there is nothing of any value in the world, who slips into nihilism. Oh, dear.
Yeah,
Does not
it's
sound like a happy book.
Yeah, no, it's not the most happiest book, but I mean, it does have a pretty optimistic ending. From what I've seen, I have not gotten to the ending just yet, but yeah.
All right, well, you'll have to let us all know how that one ends up.
Yeah, I sure will.
So, as a librarian, do you find that people come to you asking for book recommendations? And if so, do you have sort of your go-tos for things that you suggest to other people?
At the moment, I don't have too many people who ask me for book recommendations because I guess they realize I'm on break for books. I'm mostly into video games at the moment, but for books I recommend to people who want to get into reading, for classic stuff, I definitely recommend stuff like Frankenstein by Mary Shelley, Dracula by Bram Stoker, a lot of 19th century horror because that's my that's my main ballpark. That's my personal wheelhouse.
Yeah.
But for more recent stuff, I really love Charles Bukowski. I think he is so underrated. He's so good. I think a lot of people see him as just like this trashy old man, but I love his work so much. His poetry is so good. It's so relatable. I really like him.
So a lot of the authors that you like are actually older ones. So 19th century, as you mentioned, and you have a particular interest in the horror genre. Do you recall, I guess, what sort of made you realize that that was a genre that really appealed to you and sort of helped you fall into that rabbit hole?
So when I was in college, I actually studied quite a bit of horror, and I took a few classes specifically about the horror genre, and like one of my favorites was definitely the 19th century horror. And it's just there's so much like good stuff in that like pool. Like there's Edgar Allan Poe, there's Mary Shelley, as I mentioned, Bram Stoker. Oh God, what's the one guy's name? He did Robert Louis Robertson. He did Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. There's just a lot of really good stuff in that pool, and I feel like a lot of people kind of underestimate horror as like this genre is supposed to be like, oh no, I'm so scared. But the point of horror is to really like demonstrate like kind of subconscious fears people had during the time, if that makes sense. Like
yeah,
like Dracula, that was during the time of the plague, and vampires as a whole are kind of like a metaphor for like disease and transmitting disease and all that. So I feel like there's just a lot underneath the surface that a lot of people kind of ignore or forget about when it comes to the horror genre as a whole.
Yeah, and so of the ones that you listed, Frankenstein is the one that I know best. I had to read that for school, and honestly, it was one of the assigned books that I enjoyed the most during my time in school. I suppose going on those types of different themes of Frankenstein is not about horror, it is not about gore, it is more a philosophical one almost, that it's, asking these questions about the creation of life and sort of this dance between morality and ethics as a whole of, all right, who's the actual monster, the creature, or Dr. Frankenstein?
Right. It's really more of a like psychological horror in the sense, though. You do have to take in mind like when it was written, and
Yeah,
like
for
it was
sure.
written during a time where horror was not as, what's a good word? It's not as in your face as it is these days. Like it's very like I feel like horror's kind of horror these days kind of depends a bit too much on jump scares in my personal opinion.
I suppose, yeah, and especially just that comes along with technology that nowadays we have visual media that can go along with the storytelling. But back in the day when you don't have TV, you don't even necessarily have radio shows, that you just have books, so you only have the text to rely on, and you can't really do a jump scare in a book. That I suppose
Right,
you can
exactly.
sort of write one and have a very quick transition into something of suddenly a monster appeared, but it's not the same effect as when you have it in a visual capacity with, all right, something's in your face and now you have, the strings playing for that big moment. So it all really relies more on the storytelling and that built up tension and just being able to create something that is more drawn out, I suppose, in the reader's mind.
Right, exactly. Because like the horror in Frankenstein is really just like whenever the monster just kind of appears, like all the times he appears, it's just very out of there, very not out there, but more sudden, and that's supposed to be like the horror effects. But I mean, Mary Shelley is also very good at setting, in my opinion. Like, not setting descriptions. Like how she
Yeah.
describes the monster being built is it's one of my favorite descriptions. Like all of like novella is really good.
Mm.
Her choice of words is just incredible. I love it very much.
Yeah, and you can just feel the paranoia of Dr. Frankenstein throughout, of just
Right,
that
paranoia.
that type of tension of, oh gosh, I know it's out there, that it's coming for me, even if I don't know where. When I'm always looking over my shoulder, I'm starting to lose sleep over this, and his own sort of descent into his own type of madness over the course of the book.
Right, exactly. That's super right. It's the paranoia that really drives Frankenstein, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mentioned it to you when we spoke earlier in the week. There's a fantastic stage production that was done by the British Theatre Company some years back. I think it must have been almost 7 years now. They did a Fathom Events presentation of it, and it's just a very proper retelling of Frankenstein, that they don't change anything. It's not a line for line adaptation, but it's about as faithful as you can get while cramming a book into a 2.5-hour stage play. And you had Johnny Lee Miller and Benedict Cumberbatch playing the creature and Dr. Frankenstein, and they would switch roles. So just on certain nights at the theater, it would be Cumberbatch playing the creature. On other nights, he'd be playing the doctor. And they actually did 2 showings of the film, so you could actually see both interpretations. I don't know if that is going to be available anywhere, but if you're able to find that somewhere for streaming, it is so cool. Both actors are obviously very talented, and to
Yeah,
see
right.
the way that they bring those classic roles to life it was so cool to watch.
Yeah, I remember you told me about it, and I tried to search for it, but I have not found it just yet. But
Yeah,
I'm hoping there's maybe a bootleg out there somewhere.
yeah, it's one of
Because
those weird
it
ones
is pretty
because
commonplace.
yeah, because filming rights for stage shows is sort of awkward, and they don't usually have great distribution. But if you're able to find it, it is just fantastic.
Right. Yeah, I've heard it. It's like from how you describe it, it sounds super interesting. I would love to like think more about like how the shift in roles kind of affects like how the play is presented, I suppose.
Yeah, and they each had their own sort of take on the creature. That Cumberbatch's presentation was sort of someone that I suppose just he felt a bit more hulking, slurring his words a bit more, whereas Johnny Lee Miller almost felt infantile, of just a baby, a child in this large hulking body, and their own different takes on the Doctor as well. But yeah, so
Yeah, for
I could
sure.
gush about that for a while, but back to books. Uh,
Also, hello, Maggie. Welcome. Hello, Shia. Hello, Numa. I'm so sorry. I just wanted to say hi to them. Hello.
all good, all good. Yes, thank you all for coming. So, I suppose, what is the last horror book that you read?
The last horror book I read, I actually just finished rereading Interview with a Vampire, and I have very I have very mixed feelings. I have a lot of feelings about Interview with a Vampire. So many feelings. I love it and hate it at the same time.
I'm not actually familiar with that one. Are you able to give sort of a basic description of that, and I suppose what your mixed feelings are about?
Yeah, for sure. So it's a vampire story, of course,
Naturally.
and it's so basically it follows this vampire guy, and he had just been converted into a vampire, and it's a lot of drama. It's just a lot of drama, and basically it ends with him like adopting this girl, and he's trying to fend off the guy who turned him into a vampire, and it's very drama filled. It's very like it tries to become kind of 19th century horror, but it's just not.
Mm.
It was published in 1980, I'm pretty sure, is when Anne Rice wrote it. I'm not positive. Like, I know it's the 1900s, but I'm not sure if 80 or 90. I'm pretty sure it's 80, maybe 90.
Mm. So, do you find that you have an affinity for, I suppose, creatures in horror when it comes to media in general? That do you find like the TV shows that you watch are more horror based? You definitely have a pretty on-brand translation here for video games, as we'll get into, that you're currently in the middle of an extended run of Castlevania. But does this sort of go into your other media habits as well?
For the most part, I actually don't watch very much television or movies or anything, but I do find that I do kind of avoid horror movies and TV shows for the most part, if I'm being honest, whenever I do watch them. Because I have to admit, I am a bit of a wimp when it comes to horror, as my viewers know. I can't even play horror games very well. Like, I have a lot of respect for horror games. Like, Fun Hill 2 is one of my favorite games ever, but at the same time, I can't play horror very well. I get very scared.
Now, as I mentioned, you're currently playing through Castlevania, and that obviously is sort of the industry standard for the gothic horror genre as a whole. Now, you're playing through these for the first time, correct?
Yeah, but it's the first time I'm playing through. I just finished Symphony of the Night, and I just finished Aria of Sorrow as well.
So which one is next?
Next will be Rondo of Blood. We're currently taking a very short break to do Metroid Fusion, but I will be starting Rondo of Blood, I believe, next week, I think, depending on if I finish Metroid tonight.
So when you've been playing through these, have you found, I suppose, different references to the books that you enjoy? Because obviously Castlevania is built on a lot of tropes and has a lot of just, I suppose, parallels to a lot of things in these classic literature examples that really establish this genre.
Yeah, it's pretty obvious that it takes a lot of inspiration from Bram Stoker's Dracula, but at the same time, it's very much its own thing, because it's pretty obvious that Bram Stoker's Dracula is a little more grounded. There's no like Dracula's castle that it's just like appearing every few years. It's
not so
a little
fantastical.
more grounded. Yeah, it's not as fantastical. So Castlevania definitely has its own it has its own take on like the Dracula kind of aesthetic. Like, it takes the aesthetic, but it doesn't like take the plot or anything.
And I do take it you've been enjoying the games, though, because obviously you wouldn't be going through this marathon, I would think, if it wasn't to your liking.
Oh yeah, for sure. I love the game so much. The soundtracks are so good. They're so good.
Yeah.
I love the OST so much.
For sure.
Like, it's honestly a bit more groovy than I thought. I honestly thought it'd be like more like gothic piano and all that, but no, it turned out to be kind of groovy.
Yeah, and obviously, especially, you can even see it in the names that music is a very central part of the series and its themes overall.
Yeah, for sure.
I suppose, of the ones that you've played so far, which has been your favorite?
Oh man, It's really close. It's extremely close, but I think I'm gonna have to say Symphony of the Night over Aria of Sorrow. I just think Symphony just felt a little more tied together than Aria of Sorrow. I really like the story in Aria of Sorrow. Aria of Sorrow had a very, very good story. I did not expect a twist at all, but I really like Alucard.
Many people
Alucard's
do.
a very good boy.
So retro gaming overall is, when it comes to games, your wheelhouse, I suppose, and obviously Castlevania is a very good intersection of your enjoyment of horror and your enjoyment of retro. But one thing that you mentioned to me that I found really interesting was the fact that you got into retro gaming, in your own words, late, that it's not something that you really grew up playing these games, but you've discovered them later on.
Yeah, right. Because right now with streaming, I'm kind of focused with like SNES era stuff at the moment for the most part, like SNES, like Dreamcast. I'm kind of focusing on those areas of retro, and I did not grow up with these. I grew up with PlayStation 1 onwards, so it's definitely like been eye-opening, kind of playing these games for the very first time. I'm really enjoying them.
Can you trace the retro groove that you've gotten into to a particular game? That was there a particular title that as you were streaming, you were, all right, bouncing from one game to another, and then you hit this one, and that sort of started you on the path of, okay, retro gaming is your niche?
I think it was Chrono Trigger, to be honest. I've been thinking about it, and I'm pretty sure it was Chrono Trigger because I just played Chrono Trigger for the first time in I think it was February. Like, as a JRPG fan, I felt very bad for always putting it off, but I loved it so much, and that was like my very first SNES game I played on stream. So I was very very happy to finally gotten through it, and I figured, hey, the SNES is kind of cool actually. I guess I'll check out more SNES stuff, and I guess it's just been a bit of a rabbit hole downhill ever since.
I'll admit that Chrono Trigger is also one that I have not played yet, but I need to. It's one of those, it's on your list as a gamer that you need to get to, and I simply haven't.
Yeah.
But you want to talk
so
about
good.
music. Holy cow. I am a big game music nerd, and I know the music from Chrono Trigger, that those themes
it's so
are
iconic, isn't it?
Yes.
It's so good.
There's some orchestral arrangements, like the Video Games Live touring concert series has a Chrono Trigger, Chrono Cross sort of a medley that they do, and it's one of the staples of their repertoire that they do it near the end of almost every show. Just gorgeous music.
Right. It's really good. I want to play Chrono Cross as well, but I have heard some mixed opinions about Chrono Cross as a sequel.
Yeah.
But I do want to play Chrono Cross down the line, because I've heard Chrono Cross has a very good OSC as well.
Mm-hmm. So you went from Chrono Cross and now you're going through Castlevania. So you have two very different genres here. As you mentioned, you like JRPGs a lot. I suppose, trying to decide if I would call Castlevania a JRPG, it feels more like an adventure game, because I usually associate JRPGs with more turn-based, but maybe...
I think it could count as a JRPG just because of like all the stat systems.
Yeah.
And I mean, I personally prefer turn-based combat, but I wouldn't discount something as a JRPG just because it's not turn-based.
Difficult thing to define for sure. When it comes to JRPGs as a whole, I would ask normally, what is your favorite? But I think I know your favorite, and my guess is Shin Megami Tensei.
Gee, how'd you know?
Oh, I don't know. It might have been the fact that you kind of blew up during E3 when SMT5 got revealed. That you were one of the few streamers that, or at least one of the few VTubers that was actively streaming and reacting to E3 as it happened a few weeks ago. And I tuned in for your reaction to the Nintendo Direct, because I'm very much a Nintendo fan. That's the one that I paid attention to most. I was in the chat just hoping and praying for Breath of the Wild 2 info, and luckily I got that. But you, like, up front, from before the show even started, you were saying, all right, SMT5, I want my SMT5. And
yes,
I got a really good clip of you reacting. So join Maru's Discord server if you haven't already. It'll be in the Clips channel, and her reaction, just unbridled joy. Pure happiness
really
and elation.
happy. I was really, really happy. Like, it looks so good. It's such a step up from SMT4. It's so gorgeous. I won't yell on this stream about it, but I was very happy. It's such a step up, and I'm just excited.
Now, here's the thing. So, I have not played an SMT game. I played Persona 5. That was my first Persona game. I have some friends that swear by the Persona series. And I understand that there's a lot of similarities. Some of the monsters even are the exact same designs, and they're both made by...
yeah, so this Persona's a spin-off to Shin Megami Tensei, that's why.
Yeah, so for the uninitiated like me and anyone else in the chat who might not quite understand, what is the delineation between Persona and Shin Megami Tensei?
Persona is more of a, it's more juvenile, I'll say. I don't mean in a bad way, especially for 3, but it's way more juvenile than like Shin Megami Tensei. Shin Megami Tensei is much more mature, and I feel like it's way more nuanced, in my opinion. Oh, don't ask me about Persona 5 fans.
Uh-oh.
Oh. It's not... I don't want to get into a rant on your interview,
No, hey,
but...
no, I told you. I like getting my guests to rant, so if that's something, please, by all means.
Persona 5 is definitely my least favorite Persona game. I do not like it one bit. I love the gameplay. The gameplay is incredible. It's honestly probably the best gameplay in any JRPG. But everything else... everything else...
So I guess everything else being the story and characters did not do it for you.
The story, the characters, it's just... They made a lot of just awful decisions, in my opinion. It's just... It felt all very one-dimensional, and I could never get down with it. It's just not my cup of tea.
That's super interesting, though, that you love the mechanics, you love the gameplay, but that just, like you said, the characters, the scenario, and everything did not speak to you. So I take it you did power through, though, and beat the game, because...
Oh, yeah, I platinumed it. I have every trophy.
Oh, jeez. That's a lot of time on something you don't enjoy.
Yeah, isn't it? Don't ask me why. Don't ask me why.
That's how hardcore fans do it sometimes. Just you grit and bear it, and you're like, I know this is not the best of the series. This might be the worst of the series. But dang it, I really like this series. I'm just going to keep going anyways.
Yeah, like, I tried my best to like it. I tried my absolute best to like it. I made so many excuses for it, but I just...
Yeah.
Deep down, I just don't like it. It's just not my cup of tea. The characters are just...
Well, hopefully they take the mechanics of 5, put it in SMT, and now we'll have a scenario that is more to your liking.
Yeah, that'd be sick. That'd be so sick.
So, I'm still trying to sort of wrap my head around it, because Persona, I suppose, you said it's more juvenile, and I guess the way that it is juvenile is that it's focusing on younger teenage characters and sort of the interpersonal drama that goes along with being someone in that age group, I suppose. And
right.
I take it then that SMT is usually focusing on adult characters a bit more, and therein probably more adult themes?
For the most part, yes. Though, I mean, SMT, the raid does feature a high school character, but he's put into a much more, he's not, like, going to school or anything, you know? Like, there's no, like, interpersonal, oh my goodness, I have to find someone to date drama, you know? Nothing like that.
Yeah.
But it's just very, like, nuanced. I feel like it's a game that I would recommend to anyone. Though I would not recommend it as your first SMT game. I would recommend SMT4 as your first if you ever want to get into the series. But I mean, SMT5 is probably going to be a very good starting point as well.
Yeah, the one thing that seems to be good for both SMT and Persona is that you can jump in at any game. That they're all unrelated. They might be in the same universe loosely, but I can't tell that there's any interconnectedness on the story level or really even cameos of characters from other ones apart from those in the Velvet Room.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like the demons are pretty crossed over, and that's pretty much the only, like, the only branching. I mean, not branching, but only, like, defining characteristic of this series, like demons and like having some like religious themes, and that's it.
Yeah.
That's the Shin Megami Tensei gamer spinoff.
Shiramiya in the chat. Freaking adults.
Yeah, that's basically the plot for Persona
for
5.
Persona 5, yep, that
Freaking
adults kind of
adults.
suck.
That's it. That's the entire plot. Print it out.
So, do you expect that you'll be playing SMT5 on stream when it comes out, or do you think that's one that you will just enjoy privately and savor on your own?
I mean, I just pre-ordered the collector's edition the other day, so yes, I will definitely be playing it on stream as soon as it comes out. It's gonna be kind of weird for me though, because I normally try to avoid games when they're just released. I don't like to play games when they're just released because literally everyone else is streaming them at the same time, but that's
You're
gonna
not
be
going to
like
wait on this
the
one.
one exception.
Absolutely not going to wait on this
it's
one.
It's gonna be the one exception.
Yeah, and I suppose being someone who really is into retro games, that probably works to your advantage because, all right, all the games in this catalog, everything for the SNES, is not new. So you don't need to worry about it being the meta, quote unquote.
Yeah, exactly. Or the flavor of the month or whatever.
Yeah. Do you have any series that you're eyeing for when you finish Castlevania, or ones that all right, I'm not sure necessarily when I'm gonna play these, but are high up on your list of I know I need to play them?
Oh, so many. I have such an extensive backlog. I really want to play the Quintet games. So that would be ActRaiser, Soul Blazer, Terranigma. I also want to play the Metal Gear Solid games. I also want to play a lot. Just a lot.
Fortunately, there is plenty of a back library for you to go through.
Yeah, exactly. I have a very, very extensive back library.
Hey, I suppose, so now you'll become a game librarian, and honestly, I do think video games belong in libraries.
I mean, yeah, some libraries do actually have video games. I've never worked in one before, but I hope to turn my library into a video game library one day.
Indeed. So, apart from retro games, one particular system that you mentioned to me that you have, I suppose, not necessarily even affinity to, but one that you really just grew up with was the PS2, which I know is one, I guess, the PlayStation 2, GameCube, Xbox era sort of feels like a turning point in gaming for me in general.
Yeah, that was the best era in my opinion. It's so sick. It's so good.
Yeah. Do you have any favorites on the PS2, whether they be ones that you say, all right, these are just good games, they hold up over time, and I would absolutely say that these are top tier even now, or just ones that you hold as, your nostalgic titles?
I have millions. I love the Xenosaga series. I love Ready Out of Stories. I love all the Shin Megami Tensei games on the PlayStation 2. There are so many. There's Persona 3, Persona 4, the Variety series, Digital Devil Saga 1 and 2. What else? I also really like Kingdom Hearts, but I actually have not played Kingdom Hearts 3 just yet. I keep putting it off.
I haven't
Kingdom
either.
Hearts 1 and 2 are so good. I love 1 and 2 very, very much.
Kingdom Hearts 1, I remember, it was one of the first JRPGs that I played through, if you don't include something like Pokemon as a JRPG.
Right.
And gosh, that series is a lovable mess, isn't it?
It's so good. It's so messy, but it's so good somehow.
Yeah, and it's like, it's not even because there's Disney characters that obviously, I suppose for me even, the Disney characters are my least favorite part. I don't think that they detract from it. I think that having them as this plot point of these interconnected worlds and everything is neat, but that's not the reason why I play Kingdom Hearts. That's not why I hold it near and dear. I think what's just so cool about it is, I guess, every character that isn't from Disney.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think I don't feel like the Disney characters I feel like they don't detract from it or anything, but they definitely
don't add much either. That they're
they don't
very
add
neutral.
much, just a big thing. Yeah, they're like neutral.
Yeah. Do you have a particular playstyle when it comes to Kingdom Hearts? Do you just go for, all right, maximum damage with
Ooga
melee,
boonga.
or do you focus on magic?
Definitely Ooga Boonga. Always Ooga Boonga.
Any favorite worlds that you recall, whether it be from 1 or 2?
I really like the Winnie the Pooh world, but I'm kind of
Ooh.
biased. I like Winnie the Pooh quite a bit. He's very cool.
Winnie the Pooh is a good one. I suppose just going back once again to classical literature, that Winnie the Pooh really stands out even among Disney canon because Pooh's origins are in books.
Yeah, for sure. Like Winnie the Pooh he's such a good character, and I really like him. He's one of my favorite characters.
Do you have any favorite Winnie the Pooh stories or, I suppose, characters?
I really like Okay, this might be kind of confusing because no one likes this character, but I really like Rabbit. I think Rabbit is a very good boy. I feel like people kind of don't like Rabbit because he's
Rabbit's
so
the
stuck up
straight
and high
man.
strung. Yeah, he's the straight man, exactly. He adds on to the joke. Without Rabbit, they wouldn't be having as much fun if they would, you know?
Yeah. One of my favorite pieces of banter between Rabbit and I think it's Piglet is the knot of just, can you not? I cannot.
Yeah.
Just the wordplay in there is so fun.
It's so good. It's so fun.
I remember just the Winnie the Pooh cartoons were always very fun, very interesting, and for better or worse, the search for Christopher Robin will always stick out in my mind as you want to talk about horror and just creeping dread. That movie is literally the whole point of the movie. The moral of that film is fear itself.
Right. Yeah, it's definitely a different take on Winnie the Pooh, in my opinion.
I think it was a mistake, honestly. I think it was too scary.
It was intentional. It was not intentional, that's for sure, but it was still very good.
Yeah, and going back, I watch and I'm like, gosh, who the heck greenlit this thing? It's really creepy in all the different ways, and the musical numbers are very fun. I remember just Adventure is a Wonderful Thing. It's the song that Owl sings near the start as they're all, getting packed up to go on this journey, and it has these moments of suspense and showing the creepiest shots of the skull and everything, and
Right, yeah.
Whoop, uh-oh. We've lost visual on Maru.
Oh wait, oh geez, one sec.
Alright, at least you're still here. The call hasn't dropped. You mentioned earlier on that there's some storms in your area, but...
Yeah, there's definitely a storm, but I don't think it's a storm.
Yeah.
I think it's OBS Ninja, so give me one moment.
All good, all good. Thanks for standing by with us, folks. Hopefully you all are enjoying the show so far. If you have any other questions that you want me to ask along, I can't guarantee that I'll ask everything, but I do sometimes take things from the chat. I suppose while Maru is doing some of these technical difficulties, I will thank the people for the follows. Hey, Maru's back. Never mind. I will thank people for the follows at the end of the stream in that case. Comcast ninjas.
Comcast Ninja. Yeah, we've been having a lot of Comcast issues recently. It's been very stormy around where I live, so it's just it's been absolute garbage.
Where were we? Winnie the Pooh, yes. Search for Christopher Robin, very creepy, but somehow iconic in its own right.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think I like the Heffalump movie. Heffalump?
Yeah.
Heffalump. Yeah, the Heffalump movie the most. I think that was my favorite personally.
I haven't seen that one, but I've heard good things. That I
I
guess.
also like the Tiger movie as well.
And I suppose I don't think I've ever heard someone say that a Winnie the Pooh movie was bad. Just
right, yeah, for sure.
They don't miss with Winnie the Pooh. The closest thing to a miss, honestly, is Search for Christopher Robin because it's just so, off color for the series as a whole.
Yeah, exactly.
Van Mango in the chat says, can't have the full Maru Nii experience without some Comcast stuff. No, that might just be the VTuber Talk experience. I am very much prone to scuff myself, so we work through it.
I mean, I don't usually have normal scuff. It's just Comcast scuff.
Mm-hmm.
But hello, Mingo. Hello, Doff. Welcome.
So, anyways, PlayStation 2 games. We were talking about Kingdom Hearts.
Xenosaga Saga 1, 2, and 3. Well, not really 2 as much, but 1 and 3.
Now I'm trying to think of like what were some of my favorite games that there were some really good. I was a big fan of Yu-Gi-Oh back in the day, and they had some really cool Yu-Gi-Oh games for PS2, which had nothing to do with the card game itself. That they were these weird offbeat tactical, just JRPGs.
Really?
Yeah, there was one that had you moving cards along this weird sort of chessboard. There was different systems in each game.
So
like, by all rights, it didn't need to be a Yu-Gi-Oh game. That you could have done this with any generic fantasy skinning, or even honestly just, like military combat skinning. But for whatever reason, I suppose the creators of Yu-Gi-Oh over at, not Capcom, Konami, made like 4 or 5 different games, each with their own combat and strategy system that had nothing to do with the card game. That there was a fantastic one on GameCube called Falsebound Kingdom, which was you had real-time overworld tactics, and then you would do turn-based strategy battles when you had different units encounter each other. Or on the PS2, there was that sort of chessboard one that I mentioned. Some really weird stuff, but it was really, really cool, and I remember those games very fondly.
Yeah, it sounds super cool. I personally never got into Yu-Gi-Oh because, like, as a kid, I was like, this is just a Pokemon ripoff, so I just never got into it. But that does sound very sick. I'm gonna have to look into that because I do love that.
I'll send you some of the titles because now that I think about it, they might actually be up your alley, and especially since, like I said, they don't really have anything to do with Yu-Gi-Oh! You don't need any Yu-Gi-Oh! Knowledge for it. It's really just different types of strategy games. So I'll send you those via Discord, I suppose, after the show. But, oh gosh, I don't think I've ever actually seen anyone even streaming those because they're sort of diamonds in the rough. That they were good, but not enough to really break out into the mainstream, nor do they deserve to. But I think that they are very fun in their own right.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
Gosh. PlayStation 2, I remember, obviously, it stands in the gaming industry as really sort of a titan because the sales on that thing were astronomical. That people can discuss, all right, console wars back in the day of which system is better. If you're going to go by actual sales numbers, PlayStation 2 beat the pants off the GameCube and Xbox. It wasn't close.
The PlayStation 2 just had so many good games that I feel like the PlayStation 2 had like a ton of like innovative titles, like
that's the other thing.
Bouncer.
The sheer number of titles is a really big thing that you mentioned. That the actual game library for the PS2 was, I think, more than double that of GameCube. I remember reading somewhere there was like 2,200 games were released for the PS2 and something like 900 for the GameCube and somewhere in 1,400s, I think, for Xbox. That there was sizably more being developed for PlayStation.
Yeah, that's a pretty big gap right there, isn't it? Yeah, I feel like the PlayStation 2 is definitely the better buy for most people.
Yep.
Like, obviously you want Nintendo for Nintendo games like Pikmin and Pokemon and all that, but
plus it was a DVD player, and that at the time it was one of the cheapest DVD players on the market anyways.
Yeah, so it's a double whammy, so definitely I would go for a PlayStation 2 any day of the week if I had to choose. But I mean, I did have a PlayStation 2, GameCube, and Xbox, so I did not have to choose.
Now, it's a game that was for PS3, but it's one I know you enjoy, and it's actually the music currently playing in the background, and that's Catherine.
Right, Catherine. I love Catherine quite a bit. It's really, really good. I love the story so much, and plus it's so like replayable. It's very, very good.
Yeah, it's once again on the list of things that I've meant to play but never got around to, and it's another Atlas title that makes sense. Obviously, the developer for Shin Megami Tensei and Persona, so very easy to see why this might appeal to you as well.
Right, yeah, I think I think the OST is so good. It's honestly, I don't mean to throw shade, but I think it does jazz a little bit better than Persona 5. I don't mean
Oh,
to throw
dang.
shade, but
Ooh. Careful, I don't know who's in the chat, but depending on who you're talking to, those can be fighting words.
I mean, if they're from me, they know I don't like Persona 5. They know I will take any chance to rip on
pot
Persona
shot
5 whenever I want. But yeah, I super highly recommend Catherine. It's a really grounded story, and the gameplay is I haven't. It's not simple, but it's very addictive. It's very addictive because it's like a puzzle kind of game with you're trying to climb to a top with a bunch of like blocks and stuff. Yeah, use your brain for it, but it's fun. I really like it. It's a lot of fun. Really replayable.
Yeah, that seems to be Atlas's strength of being able to blend the just interesting mechanics and puzzles along with social interaction.
Yeah, for sure.
And I guess Catherine, in some ways, varies a bit from their other titles that it is romance-centric, first and foremost, for its plot.
Right. Yeah. It's I mean,
Well,
yeah, I would say it's romance centric, but it's more.
But it's not normal romance. That would be doing it a disservice. That it's
it's not like a dating sim or anything.
No,
it's
no.
more. It's very.
It can get into almost psychological horror, can't it?
Yeah, it definitely can. It's very story focused and it's mainly about this guy trying to pick between 2 or 3 girls if you have the PS4 version. And it's just really good. I like the 3 girls quite a bit. They're all very good.
Mm.
And also hello JT. Hello.
Hello, thanks for stopping by. So come to think of it, have you actually played Catherine on stream?
I have not played Catherine on stream because I do not want to show off my terrible puzzle solving skills.
Aw, come on, you have to do it sometime.
No, I can do it very easily on like normal difficulty, but if I stream it, I would want to go on hard difficulty to show off, but then I would just end up showing off how dumb I am, you know?
Okay. Now, I mentioned it a bit earlier, but you were one of the few VTubers who was streaming E3. So, obviously that is, the big week, just the biggest week of the year for gaming. One that I remember I've looked forward to, honestly, since I was like 10 and found out about it. And it's gotten a lot more accessible in recent years because it used to be all right. Well, one, when we were younger, it would usually be broadcasting, at least for me when I was at school. So I had to come home and see, all right, what all happened that day. But now you're able to just watch them in real time and see things, and it's become more accessible along with streaming. So for E3 this year, what were you hoping for outside of SMT, obviously, and what did you get from the things that you were hoping for?
So, I was very hopeful for Square Enix to give me some more JRPGs that I'd be very, very happy about. Like, I wanted more news on, like, Final Fantasy 16, I'm being completely honest, but instead of that, they just showed me freaking Guardians of the Galaxy for like 40 minutes.
Yeah, I did not expect Guardians of the Galaxy in 2021. Yeah. No offense. Like, Guardians was a fantastic film. I think that they are very fun characters. But the last Guardians film was 3-4 years ago? I did not expect now to be the time to get a AAA Guardians game.
You'd think they try to hop on that train way sooner.
Yeah, it would have been one thing if this was, coming on the heels or, coming right before a new Guardians film. But Guardians 3, I think it's finished filming. I don't know. I don't pay super close attention. We know it's happening, but it's not coming out this year or anything.
Right, yeah, I don't know why they had to dedicate 40 minutes of their entire E3 thing to Guardians of the Galaxy, but that's fine. It's probably because the games take forever to make. I mean, yeah, but they should have been developing it way before, don't you think?
Yeah, and
they should have been working on it way before.
Yeah, I would have expected that even if it was like nearing completion, I would almost think that they would maybe want to hold it back 6-8 months to make it at least closer to Guardians 3's release. But I don't know, maybe there's something in the market research that says, all right, next year is the time to do it.
Well, I'm sure not the target audience because I keep getting the freaking ads for it on Twitch. And
Oh,
I
yeah.
can't watch Twitch anymore right now because I just keep getting Guardian of the Galaxy ads, and I'm just like, please,
Make it stop.
I don't care. I don't want to see these ads.
So Square Enix sadly did not deliver. Were there any other presentations that you were really looking forward to?
Devolver was really good. But I don't really look forward to Devolver for the games, if I'm being honest. It's just for the for the skits they do. I like the skits. It's very interesting to watch.
I actually was not able to see Devolver, so did they have any really standout skits this year?
Yeah, it was actually really funny that they what's it called, an NFT in the form of DVD, and
Oh my god.
you could actually buy it, but there was only one to buy, and someone bought it before the show was even over. Someone found it before.
That's incredible and disturbing and entirely representative of the time.
Yeah. It was really good. Surprisingly, Microsoft and Bethesda was pretty solid. I wish we had more screen time with Todd Howard. He came on screen at the very beginning. He talked for like 3 minutes. He promised us gameplay for Starfield. He showed us a cinematic trailer with no gameplay, and he just left.
Got out of Dodge.
He was like, I have nothing to show you guys. I gotta get off stage. Goodbye.
And, well, at least they did Elden Ring, because I know for a lot of people that was one of the ones that, along with SMT5, that it was sort of on that list of, okay, this is a game that we know we should be getting news about sometime, and it's sort of been in, I suppose, dormancy for a couple years, and people are starting to wonder, all right, where are we going to draw the line of accepting that this might not happen? So I know a lot of people were very happy to finally see something there.
Yeah, I was super excited for Elden Ring as well. I'm not a mega fan like every other like FromSoft fan, but I do love FromSoft. They're very, very good. I love Bloodborne quite a bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, like Jeff Kingley's event where they announced Elden Ring, that was pretty good as well. They had Kojima come on, and Kojima is just such a mystery of a human. He is an enigma.
Hideo Kojima he really is an enigma. He is one of the just preeminent personalities and names in the gaming industry. He's an auteur, to be sure, and just at the same time, he's such a character, and like, there's really nobody quite like him.
Right. Did you see his like phone into Jeff Kingley's event, by the way?
I did not. Oh no! Wait. Yes, I did. Yeah, I remember now because that was for the Summer Games Fest. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Okay, but still, let me give you a rundown of how that went. He phoned in. He was like, "Hello, Jeff Kingley," and then he was like, "I have finally learned the truth about video games. Video games should be fun." And then he mentions 9/11, not once, but twice.
I do. Yes, I remember. I was watching a stream for that.
Yeah, Jeff Kingley was just like, you can see like how uncomfortable he was. He was so uncomfortable.
And the thing is, I'm pretty sure all of that was pre-recorded, but the fact of just he knew he had to use it anyways.
And then Kojima just shows us like huge like nothing burger trailer for the Death Stranding director's cut.
Yeah, that was really disappointing. Of just director's cut. Come on.
I'm kind of excited for it because I haven't played the first one, so I think I might wait for the director's cut to play it. So I want to be excited for it, you know?
Yeah. Gosh, and
then Kojima just leaves, and that's how he works.
Yep, he comes and he goes.
In character.
Do you remember? It was a couple years ago when Kojima had left Konami because there was some drama behind the scenes, and that he started his own company, and he showed up at the Sony presser. And they gave him just this incredibly dramatic entrance. Like, there was light panel projections on the ground that created this stairway. Like, it was so epic and incredible. And, like, he got a standing ovation because at the time, first off, there was, as I mentioned, coming off of the drama with Konami. So people were excited to see him. But also the fact that I don't know, part of it of him just being such a character, but I thought it was
Right.
both
Yeah.
really cool and also weird of just that was one of the most fantastic entrances I've ever seen at E3.
Yeah. Same. I just
And it's like it's so
E3 used
extra,
to
it's
go.
so unnecessary,
Yeah.
but gosh, it was cool.
E3. I feel like E3 used to go so big before. Like this year was. It was just
Yes.
very
The fact that
numb. It just felt
Yeah.
very neutered. It just. I don't know. I did not like E3 that much this year, aside from Nintendo.
I think that it's sort of a twofold thing of, first off, it's all virtual again, and it's virtual for
Yeah,
the
they
second
do.
year in a row. So, because the in-person presentations were really, it was just, all right, how do you one-up yourself the next year? That they were scaling bigger and
Right.
bigger, that they were having, you know, full orchestras were becoming standard at the pressers. You had the weird movement of Nintendo pulling out entirely and just opting to go direct only. But
Right.
then there were others that had, you know, the Ubisoft ones I had a love-hate relationship with because they were
I
at the
love
point
the
of doing
Just
like
Dance section
yeah,
so
that they were
much.
just doing full-on Broadway numbers. They were
Right,
and
yeah.
like don't get me wrong, I am a huge theater geek, but at the same time I don't want the time at E3 that is so precious to be burned with a song and dance number that really
get what
just
you mean.
I guess I'm glad that the dancers and whatnot are getting work because, you know, I'm always for people in the arts getting gigs, so good for them. I hold nothing against them. But it just felt like, I suppose, a weird choice to, you know, use up the time, but maybe it's, all right, you know you can't fill the full hour with announcements alone, so here's a bit of padding, but I guess it always felt a little awkward for me.
I personally have always loved those kinds of bits, to be honest. I know a lot of people don't like them, they would just want the video games, but I feel like just adding those, like, kind of quote unquote cringy events kind of just makes it more humanized, in my opinion. Like, the friggin' the Microsoft and Bethesda conference, that was like mostly just straight announcements. Like, it was good, but they didn't bring a car on stage, you know?
Yeah,
I just like even if it's just one bit, I just think they should do something like a little like fun, you know, cringy.
Yeah, that-
Just
I guess
live it.
I want fun, but I don't want cringe because I suppose one thing that I always worry about that the gaming industry had to fight for its legitimacy for years and years on end, and I feel like we're finally at the point where, you know, the film industry and the music industry respects gaming as an art form and as a business, and I guess I always felt that those types of interludes sort of infantilized the industry and made it seem less mature, less legitimate, but at the same time, I can also sympathize with your view there of just, you know, it adds fun, it adds some humanity. I don't know, it's an interesting duality, and it is what it is.
Yeah,
That it's
for
certainly not
sure.
the type of thing that the Just Dance segments didn't make, you know, it didn't ruin E3 for me. It made me sort of be like, I don't know why we're doing this, but at the same time, it's a creative choice, and it was
Right.
it was still cool to see it scaling up because you could tell year over year those performances were getting better, and just this. I'm a bit of an events geek, so I was also watching things of, you know, like the stage entrances and the flow of the show itself, and you could tell that the actual production was getting tighter over time and that they were, you know, really doing good job with that iteration. So I was sad to see everything have to go virtual these past couple years, and it'll be interesting to
Right,
see
yeah.
next year when hopefully we are, you know, getting closer and closer to quote unquote normal again, of what
Right,
will
right.
next year be for E3. That are we going to get back to those types of big showy pressers, or is there the risk that now that we've gone virtual, are some of these companies going to be like, wow, we saved $10 million because we didn't need to rent out a venue, we didn't need to pay for all the labor for the lighting and direction and stage management, we didn't need to pay for all these dancers, and that it's just more efficient for us to go virtual like Nintendo did before it was even forced? Or will we go back to having the literal song and dance?
Yeah, I'm so sorry, but I kind of want to talk about your point about how things are maturing in video games. I feel like
Please, by all means.
it's very much a double-edged sword, in my opinion. I feel like video games are trying too hard to be mature. They're trying too hard to be like these like masterpieces of art. You know,
That's absolutely fair.
I think I think it's very rampant in AAA gaming. If I if I can go into a
Yeah.
rant there, I think
Oh,
AAA
hey.
gaming is just
Go ahead.
it's stuck in such a loop of just doing what's safe and just playing it safe, just doing things that you know consumers will buy just because you know they'll buy it. Instead of like experimentation, like trying new things, just like remembering that video games should be fun.
Yeah, for sure.
I definitely understand the take that like, oh well, video games can still be fun and be mature, but I kind of miss the times when games could just have like silly plots, and just that'd be okay, you know?
Yeah, no,
Like when was the last time a AAA game had a silly plot? I don't think it was anytime
well, I suppose
recent.
last time it was a silly plot that it wasn't Nintendo.
Right, exactly. It wasn't
Yeah,
Nintendo.
I can definitely agree to that. That my thing about maturity is very much from a PR standpoint, not a game development standpoint. That I agree
Right.
that I want to see more indie titles, more creativity, and fortunately, we're getting to a point in the industry where the barrier to entry for independent developers is, lower than it's ever been before. That in the days before Steam, if you wanted to get a game out the door, you had to get it on one of the big three consoles or on PC,
Right,
but
right.
PC gaming was not nearly as big as it is now back then, and just you had to get a publisher. There was so many different things, and the physical production. As soon as downloads became viable, the barrier to entry was almost halved overnight. And I think that it's really good that we're able to see this, because you usually get, like you said, the more creative and fun and silly games from the independent studios, because you're absolutely right. The AAA ones are going to lean on what is tried and true because they're safer, like you said.
Right,
Yeah.
right. I would just love to see Naughty Dog go back to like Jack and Daxter, or like Crash, or like something that isn't just Uncharted. Like,
Yeah.
and The Last of It's just like, bros, I'm so tired of this man just doing stuff. Let me see some animals or something. Just do something interesting.
Your model has frozen.
Oh, I'm frozen? Oh, hold on. I'm so sorry. Wait, am I still frozen?
Yes. Sorry to interrupt your rant. And I completely agree that I want to see a return to more colorful palettes. Oh, there we go. We have movement once again.
Okay, there we go. I'm so sorry. I'm so
No
sorry.
problem. No problem. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. My commentary of I worry about the optics is solely when it comes to the press release, or the pressers, actually going on stage,
right.
those PR things. In terms of development, I'm in complete agreement with you.
Yeah, I think a lot of video game developers just kind of lose like the idea of like, they've lost the idea of like stylization in video games, and
and part of it comes down to numbers.
It's so boring to see all these like normal people just doing things in video games. Like I just want to see some nice cartoon animals doing stuff. I just want to see some like stylized people of anything. Like Nintendo. Nintendo does a pretty good job of stylization. They haven't fallen into the trap of trying to be too realistic.
Yeah, and I think that's sort of been Nintendo's charm of just from the beginning. They were different from Sony and Microsoft, that they have always sort of, just blazed their own path. I read a book a while back. It was called Nintendo Magic: Winning the Console Wars, and it was basically a business study on how Nintendo operates, and the fact that a lot of what they do is based in using dated technology for new purposes. For example, the touchscreen on the DS was a huge thing for gaming, but touchscreens had existed for 2 decades prior. The gyroscopes that are used in the Wii remotes had already been existing. Even the flash gun for Duck Hunt way back in the day uses the same technology as your average remote control.
Yeah, exactly. I think those kind of innovations are just so cool, and like, it feels like people are just too afraid to try to take those risks anymore. It feels like you're too afraid to kind of do things interesting. Like, I've been playing Seaman pretty recently for the Dreamcast, and that game is so innovative in my opinion. It's so cool.
I haven't heard of that one before. Tell me a bit about it.
Yeah, it's a game on the Dreamcast, and you take care of a little fishman and you talk to him. And then it closes like the little microphone thing so you can talk to him, like using your actual voice. And
Oh,
yeah. It's really really cool. It's extremely
it's
extremely
Hey You
cool.
Pikachu before Hey You Pikachu.
Yeah, exactly. It's Hey You Pikachu before Hey You Pikachu, and it features a very weird fishman, and he is very philosophical. He is a very smart fishman.
That's neat. I didn't know that there was a game like that on the Dreamcast.
Yeah, it's kind of obscure, but also not really because AVGN actually covered it, so it blew up after that.
Yeah, that'll do it. That's super neat. I wonder if there's more, because there were, just some weird one-off different attachments and accessories that were used even back then on the Dreamcast, sometimes on N64 for these types of offbeat games, and they were always not necessarily good, but they always committed to their bit.
New. Yeah, exactly. Like I actually just bought a Sega bass fishing as well for the Dreamcast, and
Oh wow!
I bought the fishing rod as well, so I'm very excited for that.
That's great. Yeah, and what you mentioned about sort of falling into the trap of developing the same thing, I think a lot of that comes down to just finance and metrics of, the shareholders. Now that a lot of these companies are part of larger conglomerates and things are more focused on profit, that they, people like what they know. You see it in films, you see it in books, and you'll see it in games as well. And that's really where the indie market comes in, because those are the people who are not beholden to those external parties and are able to do more creative things.
Yeah, you really have to bend the knee to investors. You really do, and it's really terrifying. It's really awful. I don't like it personally. But I mean, you gotta do what you gotta do to fund your game, because games only cost more and more and more to make every new generation.
Yeah, that it's weird. You're able to make it for cheaper now than you've ever been able to, but it's also more expensive. Just one person can make a game and release it on the Steam store for free and cost effectively nothing, whereas back in the day, you would need specialized software and hardware and a full team to be able to make stuff, and then all the publishing and, massive amounts just to manufacture. But you don't need that now. But then for AAA, like you mentioned, you have sprawling teams of hundreds of people across different cities, sometimes even countries and continents, developing one single title.
Right.
Are there any games that you're looking forward to that, I suppose, whether or not they were discussed at E3, apart from the ones we've already mentioned, is there a series or a particular game that you're hoping to see made?
I'm very cautiously optimistic for Final Fantasy 16. I'm very happy they're returning to the high fantasy stuff rather than the technological fantasy stuff. I'm kind of back and forth, because I have not been happy with FF15. I wasn't very happy with FF7 Remake, so I'm very cautiously optimistic. I'm very cautious. Oh, and also I'm very excited for Dragon Quest 12 as well. So I'm kind of back and forth on my thoughts there as well, because they are doing something different. They're going to try to do action RPG, and I'm kind of frightened for that. I'm hoping it's not going to be like FF15. I'm hoping it's going to be a bit more involved in that, but here's hoping.
Yeah. And I figure FF16 and Dragon Quest are inevitabilities because they are tried and true series, but like you said, it's the bigger question is going to be, what form do those titles take?
Because they showed a very short preview for Dragon Quest 12 at an event recently, and it seemed very edgy compared to other titles. It seemed very, very edgy. And then there's also the FF16 we showed a trailer for, I think it was a year ago now, and it looks very good. It has the same director as FF14. What was it? Shadowbringers, I believe, is the same director. What's his name? Yoshi P, I think it is. I think that's the director, and he's directing FF16. So I wanna be optimistic. Yeah, Yoshida. There you go, Yoshida.
Yeah, Naoki Yoshida.
D-Doc. Thank you. But yeah, I wanna be I want to be optimistic for it.
If you could design any E3 presser event, which one would you want to design, and what would you keep from what they currently do, and what would you change? So we're not talking about the titles that are released. We can say that the lineup is your dream slate of titles, but what do you do for the presentation?
So I'm not going to pick a specific company. I'm just going to give my little layout.
Yeah, this is Maru Games LLC.
Yeah, Maru Games LLC. Okay, so here is how Maru Games LLC presents their new video games for the year 2025. So first of all of our trailers are coming out within 6 months. No games coming out within 5 years later. Not a single one.
Everything is impending.
Hate that. Yeah,
and you have
hate
release
that so
dates
much.
for all of them.
Yes, they're all coming out within 6 months, or else you can shoot me. You can just shoot me alive if they don't come out within 6 months. And then I would open with the meme funny man on us, kind of like Todd Howard. I would open with him, of course. So I would have Todd Howard introduce the show. He would be hosting it. He would say many funny memes, of course. Then he would we have to execute Marin.
Oh, newer DCD in the chat.
No. But yeah, okay, so Tal Howard would be hosting, and he would present this very long lineup of games. It'd be 6 trailers, back to back action, And then there'd be a lull, and then I would bring a car out on stage.
This is the second time that you mentioned specifically a car. So are you particularly into cars, or do you just find the act of bringing a car on stage to be amusing?
I just like bringing a car on stage. Sony did it a few years ago, and I have not been the same ever since. Oh wait, it wasn't Sony, it was Xbox.
What type of car is brought on stage?
It was some fancy car.
No. For yours, I mean. What type of car are you bringing on stage?
Oh, for me.
Is it a sports car?
174.
Yeah, so is it going to be like a sports car, fancy car, old-timey car?
It'd be a very fancy car, a very, very fancy car.
Blossom says a tank.
A tank. Yes, I'll bring a tank on stage, of course.
Yes, and you pop out of the little manhole and wave to the crowd.
Of course. And then I would exit the tank, and then following behind me, an orchestra would follow right behind me, and they would be playing as they come out. And it'd be so cool, right? It'd be so cool.
Now, this is a walking orchestra, not a marching band.
Yes, it's a walking orchestra. They're playing violins and stuff. So they're playing their orchestra instruments, and it's it's a real show. There's leaves falling, there's confetti falling. It's cool. It's cool.
Someone hire this mouse.
And then we show our last trailers, and that's it.
And the crowd bursts into thunderous applause.
Closing notes from Todd Howard, of course.
Naturally.
Or rather, Hod Howard.
Hod Howard, yes.
Yes, Hod Howard. Not Todd Howard, Hod Howard. Just a look-alike. And that's it. That's my E3 show.
That's fantastic. Honestly, that was a question I just thought up on the spot, and I was like, okay, this could go a number of directions. I'm not sure how Maru will take it. You made it so much better than I even had hoped. So thank you for that. That was a lovely journey that you brought me on.
Yeah, of course. I'm glad you enjoyed my E3 show. Thank you. Please clap.
Clap. Oh, goodness. Are there any games that just back in the day you found really formative for you that you want to see brought back that aren't being actively made now?
Oh, that's a tough question, because my first non-educational game was actually Spyro the Dragon, and so as you can assume, I do love Spyro the Dragon quite a bit. However, I did not like the remake that much. it didn't do anything for me personally. I think the remake was just, it felt kind of weak in my opinion. Like I feel like I might be viewing it through nostalgia glasses, but I feel like the remake just kind of took a lot of the charm out. Like I don't like the voice actors very much for the remake. I think the original voice actors were much better. They were more charming. I don't like the new models. The new models they're kind of frightening at some points. Like the whole gladiator bears, so the ones in the first world in Spiral 3, their new model is, I don't like it at all. It's so ugly. They're so ugly. I also don't like Sheila. Sheila in Spiral 3 is, I don't want to say it, but she's kind of bait for a very specific audience. She's kind of bait.
Oh dear. Oh dear.
I don't want to be too crude, but she's very baity, and I just like her original design better. Like, why do they have to give her hair? Why do they have to give her like a like a bust line and a waist and hips? I don't get it. I don't like
it. I think you may have hit the nail on the head, though, of the why.
Yeah. It just the remakes just feel very. They don't feel as charming in my opinion. I couldn't get into it.
Yeah. There's some.
Yeah, that's very true, Blossom. The impressionistic nature of early 3D can be. It's very charming in my opinion.
Yeah,
very charming.
There's something to be said for lower polygon counts.
I love low poly animals. I love low poly like models. They're all so cool.
Yeah. It's weird to think that in a way, for us, low polygon is the equivalent to black and white television.
Right.
Just it is an era that is not really likely to come back, but it is so iconic in its own right, and our particular generation is going to really have, I'm guessing, just permanent nostalgia for it.
Yeah, for sure. Like, from a very, objective standpoint, obviously you take realism over low poly stuff, but
I'm very confused.
I think it's better. I think it's way better.
I just got a notification that says, no, Batman has subscribed. I'm not an affiliate. I don't have subscriptions.
Huh? Wait, yeah.
I'm very confused right now.
Is that YouTube, perhaps?
Oh, that could be it. That subscribe to the YouTube channel. That might be it. Thank you.
Yeah.
I may have connected those notifications. Yes. All right.
Okay. Yeah.
Cool. That makes much more sense. I was like, how is that possible? I'm literally not capable of becoming an affiliate because I only do one show a week, and that's just something that I accepted a long time ago. I don't really want to become an affiliate. That this is a side project for me, and it means that nobody ever ends up seeing ads or anything, so that's nice, and it's simple.
Right,
it means I don't need to worry about taxes and whatnot. So seeing that really caught me off guard. Sorry for derailing for a moment there.
No one just really wanted to support you. They just opened the floodgates
I appreciate
right then and
it. If you could take any classic book and make a game adaptation for it, which do you think would be the most practical to adapt?
I don't mean to bring up Frankenstein once again, but I think I'll bring up Frankenstein once again because I do love Frankenstein quite a bit.
So
it actually has a few adaptations, but I don't think they're very good adaptations for a video game. They're mostly Castlevania-like, to be honest.
What would you do for it?
It isn't bad. What would I do for it? I'd like to see it more story-based. I know I just trashed on current day AAA, but I do think Frankenstein would be a very good story to kind of adapt in that kind of style, Remember his Operation game where you build?
Oh gosh. Well, hey, there have been Operation games. I don't know if you ever played Trauma Center back in the day. It was.
Yeah, I love Trauma Center.
I liked. Yeah. Oh, that's right. They did do that one.
Yeah.
Oh. I played that one on the Wii. I know there was the one on the DS.
Yeah, I played on the DS as well. It's really good.
Yeah, those were frustrating games at times, but gosh, they were fun. That's one that I wish we could get more of it. That's just been a dormant series for a decade and a half. I doubt we're gonna get anything.
For sure.
But I totally forgot that was Atlas too. Huh.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, it would be kind of like an action adventure game. That very like broad branching term, you know.
I hope. Now, do you get to play as both the creature and the doctor, or do you take just one path and the other is the thing that you are avoiding throughout the game?
I think it could be like a Resident Evil, like where you pick at the start, then you play through that route, then there's like a canonical route where you play through the Doctor first, then Frankenstein or whatever, have you. But yeah, I think that'd be kind of cool, you know, if it's done correctly.
And the thing is, Frankenstein is public domain at this point, so this type of thing can be done. So if anyone out there in the audience or watching the VOD of this is a video game developer, you can credit Maru and I for the idea.
Yes,
we just asked for credits in the game, and what do you think's fair? You know, like 2% of revenue?
75%.
Oh, okay. I was gonna go the lower route, but you know, Maru's out here being an enterprising little mouse. So yeah, 75-25, and we're sticking to that number, folks.
Yep.
Gosh, now I'm thinking like that would be really cool, and I think it could be done. That it would need to be done very deliberately, but I think that just there's enough to work with there, and I really like games that have multiple paths. Just even going all the way back to stuff like Sonic Adventure, where you have the different storylines, and then you have the final story and everything. That to be able to do that with the creature and the Doctor would just be super cool.
Yeah, that'd be so cool, actually. That'd be so sick.
And then, so I guess what would the final story for that? I suppose it would be just.
I mean, it could be the captain. I mean, it is.
Yeah.
His point of view. You're kind of seeing the story through.
Ooh, okay. Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, exactly.
And I suppose like sort of the twist that you could add into all this is that the captain is somehow significant to the plot, that either maybe he's, you know, like a character that we saw earlier in one of the other scenes throughout the years who now has like a vendetta against one or both. And like maybe
rewriting the plot as well. Ooh,
well,
well,
so not rewriting the plot, but what you're doing is you're adding a layer on top to what is already canonical, but not changing anything from Mary Shelley's original. But I don't know, that could also just be heretical. These are the
dating sim where we date either the Doctor or the monster.
Huh.
Which would you go for, Jay, the Doctor or the monster?
I know the whole thing about the creature is not to judge things based on looks, but I'm still gonna go with the Doctor over the creature.
You're gonna go with Victor? Victor's he's such a mean man. He's awful.
I don't know. Maybe I just is neither an option here?
No, you have to pick one.
Because you are right. Victor is just really not good. But at the same time,
he's kind of insufferable.
But at the same time, also, I'd feel kind of bad going with the creature because the creature was trying to make his companion, and I don't want to get between them.
I mean, Victor never made the companion, though, so you're not getting
that's
between
true.
them.
That's fair. Gosh, this took a weird turn, but it's fun.
Sounds like you're making excuses here.
Gosh, I did not expect it to take this turn.
Don't pick Victor.
Oh, dear. Gosh. Yeah, you're right, though. Victor is scummy. It's really not good. Fine, fine. You've won me over, Maru. I'm picking the creature.
And that's how you debate 101.
Yay! So, you say that very definitively. Were you ever on a debate team or something?
Oh, no, absolutely not. I am too nervous to ever debate.
You seem like a pretty confident mouse to me. I mean, you're getting up and streaming. You're here on an interview show, so maybe don't give yourself enough credit there.
Maybe, but I don't know. Debating just sounds very stressful. I don't like being stressed out.
Fair enough. Outside of gaming and horror, I asked you if you had some hobbies, and one of the first things that you said was your pet cat, which
Yes,
I find mildly ironic considering you're a mouse.
I mean, she likes treats. As long as I just keep feeding her treats, she'll not eat me.
Okay.
That's the deal we have made.
Gotcha. What type of cat do you have?
She is I think she's oh god, what's it called? Oh, a Maine Coon. She's a long-haired Maine Coon with a tortoiseshell coloring.
Ooh. I've never heard the description of a cat's fur to be tortoiseshell.
Yeah, it's like calico, but instead of white, it's black.
Huh.
Yeah, she is very big. She is very, very big.
And one thing I said to you earlier in the week was I think your cat is one of the few for a VTuber that doesn't make regular guest appearances, shall we say, on streams. That
Right.
I know I've had several guests where cats have actually made guest appearances on this very show. But yours is very well behaved, very quiet, or I think you said that she just leaves the room.
Yeah, no, she does not like me talking to myself.
Well, she's being courteous.
like-
She's like, well, all right, Maru's streaming, Maru's on stage, so I'll just, get out of her way.
Yeah, no, she normally like stays in my room with me like all day, but the moment I turn on the stream, the moment I start talking, she is out ski. She is gone.
She knows that you're not going to pay attention to her, so she's like, well, no point in being here.
Yeah, I suppose. I'm pretty sure she goes off to just sulk. I'm pretty sure
Aw.
because. So I'll go downstairs and I'll like find her like up on the couch, just like laying down, just like watching, just looking at the stairs, just thinking about coming upstairs.
That's so sad.
Yeah, it's really sad. But it's okay because I give her many treats after stream. And occasionally, she does like to throw up sometimes.
Oh no.
She eats way too much. So she has no self-control. Absolutely none.
Trying to see. All right, that is not your cat emote, because sometimes, people will have emotes of their cat, so that's how we see it. But I do not believe you have a cat emote that
I do
is yours.
not know.
One other thing that you mentioned that you've gotten into more recently, actually, is PC building.
Yeah, I actually just built my PC last June, and I kind of fell down a rabbit hole.
Yeah, and this was one I did not know about. I'm not sure if I'm just tuning into the wrong streams or if it's not come up much on stream, but...
Yeah, I don't really talk about it, but not to toot my own horn, but I did build my own PC, and it's kind of sick.
So what did you build? What did you use as the base? I'll admit, I know essentially nothing about PC building. I'm very good with software. I know jack
Right.
about hardware, so I'm sure a lot of these terms will probably go over my head. But for those who are more in the know in chat, what did you build?
So I have a B450 Tomahawk as my motherboard. I have a 1660 as my GPU. I have 32 gigabytes of RAM. What else? What else is important? Oh yeah, my piece, my CPU. I have an 3700X. That's it. A Ryzen 7 3700X. And I think those are the most important parts. I'm pretty sure.
What did you do for the exterior? Did you? I hope that when you were building this, that you made it, look something that is super fun and appealing to you, because that's one of the coolest parts about building your own PC, that you can make the appearance and just the skin of it all really your own.
Right. Yeah. I actually have a Corsair. Oh god, what is these called? Case. It's a case, a Corsair case. And it's like a little window pan, so I can look inside my PC all the time, and I can see how terrible my cable management is. I am so bad with cable management. I'm so terrible with managing my cables,
Yeah,
but
mine are pretty bad.
as long as it doesn't explode, you know?
Yep, if it works, it works.
Exactly. But yeah, that was my very first PC I built, and I was very happy about it because I kind of just bought all my parts. I just dropped $1,000, and I was like, all right, I'm just gonna build a PC. I went in with zero knowledge and I came out pretty good.
Hey, it's working now.
Yeah, exactly. I was very stressed for like 2 days because it would not post. It would not turn on for like the longest time, but eventually it did.
What did you use as your entry point for that in terms of just knowledge base? Because it sounds like you really went it alone. That did you have a friend who recommended certain sites to you or helped you along, or was this all just, you did your own research and went?
Yeah, I just did my own research. I didn't have any friends who gave me tips or anything. I went on Reddit, I turned on YouTube, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna build right now.
Smart mouse.
But yeah, funny story about my RAM. I actually bought 16 gigabytes of RAM. But because I'm a noob, I thought it wasn't working. I thought that was the reason my computer wasn't posting. So Amazon was like, okay, well, since the RAM is broken, we'll just send you some more RAM. You don't have to send that one back.
Yeah, because it's broken, so.
Yeah, and it turns out it did work. So before I even got the new RAM, my computer was turning on.
Uh-oh,
so...
Maru defrauding Amazon.
So I got an extra 16 gigabytes, and it took me a few months, but I eventually stopped being lazy and just put it in. So now I have 32 gigabytes of RAM. So
Ooh, fancy.
yes, very big brain strength. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Don't do that, folks.
I'm not supporting ripping off Amazon, but it works.
So what did you do for the exterior? Did you get like particular colors for the panels, or do you have decals on it?
PC building fans might not like me for this, but I actually don't like RGBs or anything. I think RGBs are kind of tacky personally. So my PC, aside from like the standard motherboard, like RGB, I don't have any RGBs in it. It's just plain in there because I think RGBs are just kind of tacky personally. But I do have. I wonder if it's narcissistic to say this, but I do have a sticker of myself on my PC.
Hey.
Yeah.
Actually, come to think of it, where can people get Maru merch?
Oh, if you want Mario merch, you can actually visit my my agency's website. I have a link in the chat. One moment.
Well, the Automod might stomp the link, send it to me, and that way I'm sure it'll go through.
Okay, will do. I will send it to you then.
Should have asked this before. Sorry about that. Yeah, that is 3skiespro.com/store.
So if you guys want merch, we have pre-orders open until July 19th, so go on and check it out. I have a keychain, I have stickers, and we also have a shirt, and there's a big group poster, the three of us. And Yuki and Ria also have their own merch as well. And you can buy merch of whoever you want, but I would suggest your favorite mouse, of course. Or maybe all three of us if you really want to.
That menu says still no Daki. Sad.
One day, Mingo, we will get the Daki. One day. Not today, not tomorrow. One day.
Now the thing is, so you have the front side of the Daki, which is just you in your normal outfit. Nothing risque at all. And the back side of the Daki is just a bunch of books. You're not actually on the back side of the Daki.
It could be like a bunch of books, like a mouse. I think that'd be pretty good.
Oh, just like small, like mouse.
Just like a nude mouse. There we go.
Yep.
That's your lewd right there.
Mm-hmm. and
plushies, that'd be kind of cool.
And what you can do is you have all the books, so you have, Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, you have Dracula on there, that basically what you do is you make sure that every book there is actually detailed of what the title is, the author, and everything, and you have it very stylized, very fancy. That's where all the art effort goes for the backside of your Daki.
It would make it like very practical. You could like carry it around like outside and be like, oh, I don't care about me going on the backside. I'm just carrying it as a recommendation for books.
Yes.
You want to read books? Check out my Daki.
Yeah,
I have
the rare SFW
right
Daki. Honestly, that's a thing of just, Dakis, and especially if you want to sell them at conventions and whatnot, can be very difficult because usually you're dealing with NSFW stuff. So what you need to do is adapt.
Yes, adapt for the modern man.
So, for someone like me who is really dumb when it comes to building a PC, do you have suggestions of where someone like me might start if we're looking to build our first?
Yeah, I would definitely recommend r/build a PC on Reddit. I am not normally a Redditor, but I do think that subreddit is very useful for information tips, and also Linus Tech Tips. He has built many PCs. He is very cool. I'm sure
Linus
you've
Tech Tips.
yes, I'm sure most people have heard of him, but he knows his stuff. He definitely does.
Admittedly, I've never heard of it, but, I mentioned it before we went live that I am a sad person who runs a stream off of a Mac because I got the Mac right before I started the show because I was thinking, oh, I don't stream, I don't need something powerful, but just as time goes on, I am closer and closer to considering, all right, if I were to upgrade, what would I do? Would I buy something or would I just build a PC? And I'm definitely leaning towards building because I know if you're able to do that, it's just much cheaper. And
I mean, it does depend on when you build your PC, because right now,
well, I suppose that's
prices
true right now because
are kind of inflated with GPUs.
Yeah.
So you might find it more cost effective to buy pre-built, but I wouldn't personally recommend it.
Well, definitely something to consider. So I do appreciate the
sure.
advice. We're almost at 2 hours already, and I know you're going to be continuing with Castlevania right after this, so I have a couple questions that I use to sort of wrap things up, and then at the end of all this, what we're going to do is you're actually going to start up your stream, and I'm going to have us just raid right into your channel.
Yep. All right.
So for the wrap-ups, first off, what is your favorite meal? It can be something homemade, it can be from a particular restaurant. Cost is not a factor. What is just your favorite food or meal in the world?
Mashed potato. I love mashed potatoes so much. They're so good.
You're not the first guest I've had that has had that answer.
Really? Interesting.
I can't actually recall who, but I know I've had that answer before.
Mashed potato lovers.
Now, so if we're going to make a meal out of this, what are you putting on it, or do you just have a plate full of mashed potatoes plain with...
Oh, okay. Are we having like a full meal? Okay,
yeah, let's make a meal. What are we making?
Okay, it's gonna be medium rare steak.
Ooh.
Specifically a oh god, what's the kind I like? I like sirloin. I think sirloin's pretty good. Mashed potatoes with gravy. And that's it.
Gotcha. Yeah, I was thinking that's just simple enough, and that's just
Right,
butter or no?
I don't like butter on my mashed potatoes. No butter.
Oh, just plain and dry.
Yeah, just plain mashed potatoes with gravy.
Okay, yes, that's right. You said with gravy, so not dry. Yeah.
Yeah, with gravy.
Okay, yes, there you go. Yeah, because it was like I really like mashed potatoes. I can't eat it dry. Sometimes just like a little bit of margarine, but actually gravy. I do think gravy is underrated.
I don't eat food other than turkey sandwiches. I do eat turkey sandwiches. I just had one today. Thank you.
Do you have a go-to brand of turkey?
You should just get it from the deli. I don't know.
Oh, just fresh deli turkey. There you go.
Yeah, I'm just like, hey, bro, can I get some turkey? And he's just like, yeah, I'll cut up some turkey for you, and there we go.
Do you drink tea, coffee, both or neither? And if you do, how do you take them?
I'm actually drinking tea right now.
Nice.
I do like tea quite a bit. I actually just bought a little mini tea set for my room, so I can just make tea right here in my room, while I'm streaming.
Efficiency.
It's kind of sick. It's kind of nice. But yeah, I can't have coffee because of caffeine sensitivity, so no coffee for me, only tea.
Any particular flavors or brands?
I really like hibiscus tea. I'm very much enjoying it. I can't have too many teas, mostly herbal teas, because
caffeine sensitivity.
Yeah.
So you can't have black teas or anything like that.
Yeah. Mostly just hibiscus, mostly just herbal stuff.
What are your goals for the rest of 2021? That we're actually just about exactly halfway through the year now. I'm not going to ask you, long-term goals because things change over time. But for right now, what are your goals for the next 6 months?
Right now, I really just want to keep growing my community on Twitch, to be honest.
Mm.
I think that's first and foremost. I really enjoy streaming. I really found like a little passion, and it'd be very cool if I could just keep doing this. I really enjoy it. And it's really thanks to my community that I'm able to do it. And I would very much like to just keep growing my community, and just keep making it better and better, and just like making my stream better and better, and just I just want my stream to keep getting better and better.
I suppose you are actually a senpai now.
Yes, I am a senpai. I have my two kohais, Ria and Yuki.
Oopsies, I accidentally put in an E on your name by accident for that chat. I was like, wait, that's
Everyone
not right.
does that. I'm not sure why. Everyone's like, there's an E in your name, right?
Yeah, and the thing is, I have your name on the lower Chiron right now.
Yeah.
And just... at the very least, it's spelled correctly there because I make sure to copy-paste from the URLs themselves because I never want to make that mistake because that's, being displayed throughout the whole show. So at least we have it there where it counts.
Right.
And the last question is, what does being a VTuber mean to you?
Being a VTuber to me means making a community where people can just come and like relax and just forget their real life problems, honestly, because real life can be very taxing. Real life can be a lot. That's all. It can just be a lot to deal with. And I feel like the power of VTubing is just making a space for people to just come and just practice like the safe amount of escapism, just forget your problems for a little while.
Yeah.
Let's just play some retro games, get some nostalgia in, and just relax, just chill.
For sure. And I know, just goodness knows, after the past year, VTubing really hit its stride at the right moment. It was at a time where a lot of people needed that type of healthy escapism, and certainly the fact that everyone was stuck at home for a while helped it make it an environment where content creators were more enabled to, delve into VTubing. But late 2020 and into 2021 now that we are really at just the dawn of this new age of VTubers, because VTubing has been around for a while. That Keyta and I's account, I think, now goes back 5-6 years almost. But
she's been around for such a long time.
Yeah, but now it's really actually become, we're not quite at mainstream yet, but we're getting closer and closer. Like at Anime Expo in a week and a half, they're actually going to have Niji Sanji and Whole IVN and Bishoujo.
So
like they're getting the big three. The fact that AX, the big show for anime conventions in North America, is just diving in head first. It's not, okay, we're going to get like a member of Whole IVN. Right. We're going to go just whole ham. We're getting all the full lineups of the 3 big agencies. And, I'm very optimistic that they will see that it is worth their while to do that. And I'm looking forward to seeing how things grow from here, because I think that even as people are able to, leave their houses a bit more, that VTubing undoubtedly is here to stay. And I'm sure there's going to be waves that, graduation is something that was mentioned earlier in the show, and it's a sad thing, and I'm sure that there's going to be people who aren't able to just simply commit the time as things start to return to normal, but I do not believe that VTubing as a whole is going anywhere, and that we're going to see waves over time of, there might be a couple months where you see a fair number of graduations, but then you'll see more people becoming VTubers themselves, and that's just one of the cool things about content creation as a whole, of that once it starts, it doesn't really stop.
Yeah, I definitely agree. It's kind of like when people are like, oh, Let's Playing is not going to catch on, not one bit, but Let's Playing definitely caught on. I feel like it's definitely here to stay. It might have like its lulls for sure as people return to their real lives, but I think it'll just keep growing and growing and growing, to be honest. Yeah,
and I certainly hope that you will be here for a while, that I thoroughly enjoy your streams. I don't have anyone on my show unless I legitimately enjoy their content and think they have a good personality to begin with, so I think you are doing a fantastic job. Keep doing what you're doing, and thank you so much for joining me this evening. That I really appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule, because you stream darn near every day of the week.
Yeah, I usually have one break day, but I mean, I really enjoy it. As I said, I really found a passion in streaming. I really love it quite a bit. It
Yeah.
makes me really happy, and I like making people happy. That's all. I just want to make people happy.
For sure. Well, Maru, go ahead and boot up your stream. Let me know once everything is set, and I will start the closing song and prep the raid.
Yep. All right. Thank you so much for having me again. I really appreciate it. It was a lot of fun. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely,
Thank
yes.
you.
And thank you to all of you in the chat for joining us. I hope you enjoyed the show. As I mentioned earlier, I'm going to have the Coco Appreciation Show this Wednesday at 8 p.m. Central Time, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. We have a great slate of guests, and I hope you'll be able to join us. It's going to be emotional, but I think it's also going to be a lot of fun. So, well, we've lost visual on Maru. My guess is that's probably got something to do with tabbing away, but
Oh, I'm so sorry. Yeah,
it's all good. It's all good.
OBS.
So, have you started up the stream so I can prep the raid?
One moment. I'm about to
Alrighty.
start. I just have to title it.
Yes. Well, I'm going to go on and start my closing little theme here, but once again, thank you, Maru, so much. This has been an absolute blast. I look forward to seeing more from you and from the folks at Three Skies. I'm Jade. This has been Vtuber Talk. I'll be back, like I said, next week, not just with the Coco Appreciation Show, but with another proper interview as well. So follow me here on Twitch and on Twitter. Oh my goodness, I just realized I didn't actually read through the names. Zodiac Nemiko, Venom U 7999, Remlock, Liam Clark, Gudanko, I'm probably butchering these, Sasagawa RIA, The Arc Flash, Lord Vance Argurly. I think that's all, and thank you all so much. This has been great. Until next time, have a great evening, and I will see you in Maru's chat.